Hello, 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 and welcome to this week's episode of Futon Talks.
Oh.
I am your host, Christopher Middling You, joined as always by my best friend, the Phantom Typhoon himself, Joshua Castro.
Wow. Thank you, Chris. I feel so good about that. I would love to be a phantom. I'd cast undodgeable energy blasts at you all the time, out of love.
If you have clicked the thumbnail or read anything at all, you know that we're talking about Prey. Arcane's Prey from 2016.
2017.
Is it 2017?
That's right.
I could have sworn my trophy said 2016. I could be lying.
It's funny how your trophies lie to you. The original Prey was 2006,
They do say I got Dead Space 2 trophies in 1969. So.
Wow, there we go. Sony has no idea what it's doing right now.
Yeah.
It's falling apart.
So 2017, my bad. And yeah, we're going to do a quick, seeing how we feel, dipping our feet into the water before we go into spoilers. Yeah. So enjoy for those who haven't played. And if you want to just keep listening, keep on listening. I don't care. But I care about is if you subscribe and that you write a comment or a like and finish the episode. And if you feel super generous, head on to patreon.com/futontalks and give us money.
If you'd like. If you give us money, we'll give you neuromods. You won't lose your memory. You won't become a monster.
Technically, you won't lose your money.
And you won't lose your money.
You'll just be in value
a fair
10 times the amount that you give us.
That's right. The neuromod you'll get is learning how to be a night manager or Rayleigh's. What a skill.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
But Josh, Prey. Tell me how you came about this game. Why you wanted to play it.
That is such a good question. I have no idea.
I only give good ones.
Yeah, it's a skill of yours. That's another neuromod you could give to people. Dude, I have no idea how this game even came on my radar. I think you told me about it because you were excited about it.
That's right.
You saw the trailer and you're like, "Oh my gosh, Josh, look at this! I'm the Chris that still likes Dishonored," and so it was a long time ago, and I think it came out right before I went on my mission or something like that, and I just never had the chance to play it. And then it was totally off my radar for a long time. And I think what drew me back in was just the box art, because I just thought it looked so cool. But funnily enough, as you know, Prey was the reason we started this podcast.
Yeah.
Because we originally, and it still is mostly this way, we wanted to take a look back at the things we missed and gain a new impression for them. That was our tagline. And
a new appreciation for them.
A new appreciation. And, so there were games like Prey and Killzone and a bunch of games that we never experienced, and movies too, that we wanted to take a look back at and see if they were actually good. So anyways, Prey was one of the top three. One of the big three for why we did this.
Killzone and Hollow Knight.
Yes. None of which we've done. I mean, we technically did Shadowfall for our first ever episode, but we thought it was so bad that we
were so
negative. It was so bad. If you ever want us to redo our review of Killzone Shadowfall, let us know, and we won't. But
yeah, I'm not playing that.
I
again.
refuse.
I'll talk about it though for sure.
I refuse to play it again. But yeah. So funnily enough, a year into this podcast, we still haven't made an episode on any of the things that we started out with. But I am personally really glad that the one we're doing is Prey. So that's my knowledge of Prey. I didn't know it was technically a reboot until I was already playing the game. So I didn't learn about the history for a while. But what's your history with it? Because I know that you were excited for this game, and then something happened to you, and I don't know, maybe the people from Arcane broke into your house, so now you hate all of Arcane. I don't...
They beat my dog, and they peed on my bed.
That's right. They smeared poop on your toilet.
There's so I really wanted to think long and hard about this. Why did I not like this?
You hated it.
And I think there's a few things.
I had to like, what's the word? I had to like pressure you hard to play this game. Like multiple messages, multiple attempts over the year to get us to play Prey, and you refused for an entire year. So I want to understand what was going on in your head.
So first I had to look at the trophies, right? What was going on during the time?
Mm-hmm.
And it got washed away because I was deep into Persona 5. Super long game.
Yes.
It required so much of my attention. And I had Modern Warfare Remastered. It came out. So I'm working on that platinum. I get the platinum. And at the same time, I'm heavily invested in Resident Evil 5 with Jarrett.
For what, like the 17th time?
Yeah.
And you still don't have the platinum.
We still don't. That's fine. I'll play it forever. But yeah, it just got preoccupied with other things. Yes. But on the flip side, I felt like this game was marketed as, and I had the impression that it was a Bioshock Dead Space like marriage, especially with the pre-order items. Pre-order items
were they?
Was like the normal Resident Evil pre-order. You get a health pack and you get a shotgun. Like you get a shotgun from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, cool, shotguns. I'm going to be shooting a lot of things in this game, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be... It's going to just be Bioshock in space.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Especially because of how, similar it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the shotgun and the wrench.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into the game for the first time with the mentality of action, shotgun, horror, Bioshock, which is a pretty tall order to make if you're a brand new game. Like it was my, however old I was, 18, 19. It was that Chris's fault for coming with those expectations of this is going to be the next Bioshock.
Mm-hmm.
And then, maybe slight disappointment with how slow it was, maybe. I don't remember what my problem was, but I think I've said in the past the menus were a little much for me, and I think I was more talking about I didn't like the RPG mechanics because I wanted it to just be Bioshock.
Yeah, you didn't like the chipsets and the way the neuromods stacked and worked on each other.
I wasn't into how much I had to pay attention to my character. I just wanted to explore and do my own thing and not have to worry about powers or worry about, how fast I run,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, I got one trophy. I put in a human neuromod or whatever, and that was that.
Oh wow! So you got like maybe an hour into the game.
I got.
You got to when you get the first neuromod.
The neuromod, and then through the lobby into the office.
Yeah. So like straight up, so like an hour and a half.
And I was like, screw this. I'm going to play Persona. I'm going to play Modern Warfare.
I'm going to buy some Doritos and
I also had the sour taste in my mouth from trying to get the platinum in Dishonored on PS4. And somewhere in the middle, I got spotted. And I would have to do the entire game over again because I switched PlayStations. Because Austin took the PS4, like the base PS4.
Yeah.
And I just had gotten the Pro or whatever. But yeah, so that's my it's my story with it. I was pretty jaded.
Yeah, you were.
And my feelings on Arcane haven't changed.
That's interesting.
But my feelings on the game might have changed. Shall we go into our 3 words?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and then I do want to talk about Arcane, because I have such a different relationship with them just because I haven't played their games, you know? And we haven't played their original games like Dark Messiah, Might and Magic, and Arx Vitalis, which are considered PC classics. And having watched videos on them, they look super cool. But yeah. Let's give our 3 words. Do you mind if I go first?
Please.
So, I have them in a certain order, but I'm going to do it differently. My first word is special. I don't know what it is about this game. It is such a weird game. Like, how conflicted it makes me feel. I feel like there is a specialness to it. Like, this world is incredible. You know what I mean? There is something about it that feels like a real place and that has this special quality. And I think that has to do with the people in the game. But anyways, one of my words is special. Another word is more negative, and that is detours. But it's not a good word for it. I mean, like, other words I put in its place were like wheezing or like geezer. And it's just that it has this third of the game that is like, oh my gosh. Like, maybe if the load screens didn't exist, or maybe if I hadn't been to those areas a bunch of times. Anyways, the last third of the game is painful. It's just so slow and boring and backtracking. And so for me, it felt like the last third of the game is just one long detour, extending the game for 4 hours for no reason. But my main word is a birthday gift. This came out on my birthday in 2017 on May 5th.
Wow, that's right. That's probably why I was talking to you about it.
Probably. And the thing is, the reason that it's not just like a birthday gift because it came out on the day of my birth, but also because I can't think of a game that was like more tailor-made for me. You know what I mean? I love horror in space. I love like emergent gameplay. I love games that let me feel smart and let me like find solutions to my own problems. I love games where you are making like moral decisions but don't know you're making moral decisions. You know what I mean? We're like consequences that feel real for your actions.
Yeah.
I love the way that you can approach situations in such different ways. So it's just a game that was like perfectly made for me. Yeah. Anyways, so those are my 3 words, my very long-winded 3 words. What are yours?
Okay. I had to think about this for a bit too. I have empathy. Is the
that
first
makes
one.
Sense. So.
It does make sense. Gray and slippery. But another way I could say that is front-loaded nuance. And we'll get into that when we go into spoilers, but yeah, this is first off, I'll say it's a good game.
Yes, it is.
At times, it's a really good game.
Yeah, I think at times it's a great game.
Yeah, some moments are great. Perfect, actually, like amazing. Then there's moments where this is a slow game. There are other moments where
too. Yeah.
This is a debilitating game.
Yeah.
Sometimes this is a painful game to play.
Yeah, there are some like really annoying parts. I'm with you.
It's just I think everything about this game is pretty fantastic besides the game itself. I think the worst part about this game is playing the game.
That's interesting.
And I think we'll get into that when we get into spoilers and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where we go from here. I have I don't know. However you think we should go about this. I mentioned to you earlier, I don't think I can do the narrative justice even though I think we can give a very vague explanation of what's going on, but I think the best parts of the story are in the emails and in the audio logs and the newspapers, whatever you read. But yeah, I that would just take too long.
Yeah, like I can give a brief synopsis, yeah,
But
please. If you guys want a better synopsis, go look up Tiptoe the Tank. Her video on Prey is like fabulous. She has a great job explaining everything that comes before, and then going through her own playthrough and talking about like her thought process and her own story. So it's really good.
The funny thing is, Josh and I came up about this channel and this video independently of each other.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Like I just discovered her last night while working. So,
insane, pretty much. I like discovered her like a day or two ago, just looking up videos on Prey and stuff. But she's awesome. So whatever synopsis I give is like a lame version of hers. So go look her up for sure. And even before I give a synopsis, I feel like there's a lot of spoilers. Like the beginning portion of this game, I don't think should be spoiled. It was spoiled for me, and it makes me sad. But anyways, all this to say, if you find the concept of the game at all interesting, maybe after my synopsis, I think you should go play it. Usually it's on sale for like $15. It's pretty cheap, and I think it's well worth $15. It's a great game. Mm-hmm. Even despite some of its narrative issues and its gameplay issues, especially in like the later half. But a brief synopsis. So everything that happens in the game kind of requires a little bit of explaining of what happened beforehand. And it's an alternate history where the space race goes longer than it did in real life, essentially. Mm-hmm. And pretty much what happens is the Russians launch a space shuttle to the moon. And while it's on the moon, the space shuttle is called Kletka. As it's there, they discover the Typhoon, and it like kills the whole crew. And eventually, the US and the Russians come together to try to study the Typhoon, which are the mimics and the phantoms that you find in the game. Anyways, as they're studying these things, eventually the Russians attempt to assassinate JFK, but he lives, and the US like wrests control of the Kletka station away from them. Things go wrong, and everyone on the station is killed in 1980, even though it's all under like US, administration or whatever. Anyways, after this happens, they abandon the station and just leave Kletka and the station that's built around it there to kind of rot in space, thinking it's just not worth the issue, right? Especially because people on the ground are thinking that there's no reason to do no reason to go to space anymore now that the Russians aren't a threat, because the Russians are kind of neutered after the attempted assassination of JFK. But then you jump forward a bunch of years, and the TranStar Corporation, which is run by the main character Morgan Yu and his brother Alex Yu's parents, they run TranStar. They buy the Kletka and the other stations that are up there built around the original Kletka shuttle, and they make it into what you see and play in the entire game, which is called Talos 1. And the whole point of TranStar and Talos 1 was to study the Typhoon and attempt to make some sort of profit off of them, right? So they go up there, Alex goes first, and then he invites Morgan, and he and Morgan pioneer this technology called neuromods, which if you like stab them into your eyeball, they allow you to like acquire abilities from other people that have been downloaded onto the neuromod, which is pretty crazy. So like if you ever wanted to be able to play piano, you could just download the ability to play piano, or become a great tennis player. You just download the ability to be a great tennis player, or have like a library of knowledge, just download it. So it's a really crazy technology, but it's made with assistance from the Typhoon. Anyways, the Typhoon break containment, everything goes horribly. It's all going to crap, and Morgan has to pick up the pieces. But I don't want to say anything else about the setup. But that's like the basic synopsis and setup for the story. And so if that sounds interesting, go play it. If you already have played it, keep listening. If you don't care, listen away. But yeah, is that a good place to start, Chris? Do we want to talk about the story?
I think that's yeah, we can go into story first.
All right, and then we'll come back to the actual gameplay and Talos 1 and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah, tell me what you think about the opening, not cinematic, but the opening experience. Was that spoiled for you? I hear that was like part of an E3 demo.
Yes, it was.
That's crazy.
It was an E3 thing.
Why did they spoil it?
I don't remember. I don't remember the. This is. Have we said spoiler warning?
Yeah, spoilers from now on. Okay. Everything's being spoiled from now on.
Spoilers. I don't think the breakthrough moment was in the E3 trailer. I do just remember the setup with Alex, and you know what? Maybe no. The only thing I remember from E3 or any trailers before playing the game, because you know me, I try to stay away from trailers. I like to go into a game pretty fresh. The only thing I remember ever seeing was the ability to turn into a cup.
I feel like you're right. I feel like I remember that too.
And that was like the game, or they were just showing us that some of the puzzles and things you have to figure out is thinking outside the box, turning into a small object and rolling into a locked door, so that you can press a button. And I knew about the mimics, and that they would turn into things, and that they would turn into a chair or a cup, or anything really. And that was pretty much it. But you know what? They might have spoiled the. I don't believe that though. That would be too much.
I feel like it'd be a bad decision.
That'd be pretty crazy.
I don't.
I actually got a bit of the ending spoiled for me.
Really?
In passing, I didn't believe it because I didn't beat the game, and I just heard something said around me, and I was like, interesting, right?
Interesting.
But yeah. But yeah, that's all I remember from the E3 thing.
Well, good.
But no, I really like the beginning of the game. I really love the soundtrack. I think it's done by Mick Gordon, who does Doom Eternal, and Wolfenstein: The New Colossus.
Which is funny because it's really different from those. But I do love the soundtrack.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Wolfenstein soundtrack. Oh. Just a lingering synth almost. For most of it, and it's really good. The opening's great with the opening credits being in the backgrounds. I always like stuff like that, where it's hidden in plain sight,
Yeah.
And I don't remember how I felt about the test the first time I played it. I feel like I was treating the test when I was younger as the special book in Fallout.
Oh, like you thought it would determine your abilities.
Yeah. But I think there's a certain moment where immediately I knew that the whole game was telegraphed by this opening. At least what the game was going for.
Yeah, if you want, you can spoil the ending.
Oh, okay. So you find out that you are actually a Typhon with the memory, the neuromod of Alex U, or not Alex, of Morgan. And Alex is trying to bridge the gap between humans and Typhons because Typhons have taken over the Earth pretty much.
Yeah. And
they've killed everyone. Morgan's dead. He's been dead probably for years. And he's just trying to bridge the gap between Typhons and humans. But there are certain moments and certain characters in the game where you can save them, you can kill them. Lots of, what I was saying, nuance in that alone. A lot of grayness. You don't know where your morality really lies in the game. And in the beginning of the game, one of the tests is, I forgot what it's called, but it's where, there's 5 people on a railroad track.
Yeah.
And there's one
trolley.
person on another track. Which ones do you set the train after? And the whole game is pretty much that test. And the one kind of dead giveaway was push the fat man. That was one of the answers, right?
Yeah.
And push the fat man is one of the trophies.
Oh, really?
And that's for killing Alex.
Yeah.
If you decide to kill Alex. So then if you just take that and it's like, oh, there's 5 other humans or 4 other humans on this station, you kind of come to the conclusion that this whole game is a test.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what it is. Alex is testing the Typhon to see if it will destroy humanity, embrace its powers, or something more nuanced, something gray.
Yeah.
But the beginning is really cool. It, I wish you could answer that last question. It bothers me that it doesn't allow you to answer, like, what does this look like?
Yeah, I know.
Because that's a very Fallout New Vegas like.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the opening things. But yeah, it was good. I like the beginning a lot, and I love that moment when you figure out, oh, I gotta shatter the glass, and then it's the looking glass where they're tricking you into believing that you are on Earth and stuff, but you're actually on Talos 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love it. I think it's so cool. I had it spoiled for me like forever ago.
I'm so sorry.
In like some YouTube video, like, oh, like craziest openings in games or something,
Yes, some Watch Mojo thing.
Yeah, and I regret it deeply because I think it would have been such a moment to like think of that myself, And
Mm-hmm.
luckily, this game has lots of moments like that. None as good as that, but a bunch where you realize that you can do something in a different way, in a special way that is like, that's emergent gameplay, right? And I think those moments are the best. But yeah, what a great moment, especially when you walk out the door and the lady's dead. You've been killed by like a Typhon and you get the wrench. By the way, history of the wrench. Did you know that the wrench is an homage to System Shock and not to Bioshock?
Yeah, because Bioshock used it as an homage
to System Shock. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So like it was really interesting. I was just researching
that's
this was
one
wild.
of the words I took out, actually. Not System Shock, but Deus Ex.
Yes, and that.
This game reminds me so much of Deus Ex, and I think that's why I really didn't like it the first time either. Because I really don't like Deus Ex.
The funny thing is Deus Ex is like the same thing as System Shock, which is like the same thing as Bioshock.
It's just the same thing.
Like they're all the same.
I know.
Like
it's just weird how your brain works sometimes.
I know. You have a stigma against human, or not Human Revolution, but Deus Ex.
Both of them, yeah. Deus Ex.
I like Human Revolution. And Mankind Divided.
What was the other one called? Mankind Divided.
Which are, of course, considered by far the worst ones compared to like Deus Ex and Deus Ex Silent War, I think, or something like that. Secret Wars.
Something like that, yeah. Secret Wars, I think.
But speaking of Deus Ex, your room code for Alex's office is 0451, which is like the code that's in every game. So,
yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Very cute. But yeah, and this game was like, there was an internal memo, not in the game, but over at Arcane, and their goal was to make pretty much System Shock 3. And I think I personally think they did a very good job. I think this game is really good. I think it's, sorry, I know we're not doing what we said we would. We're kind of ignoring, so I just want to talk about the game as a whole for a bit. Like, I don't know, I think this game is exceptionally good, and there's a couple moments where it's not good. But for the most part, I think it very much succeeds in being what it set out to be. But yeah. Also, apparently it was called Project Danielle, like Danielle Show, which is a reference to Shodan from System Shock. So
yeah,
very cool. But I don't know. I have a feeling you're just not as hot on the game as I am. I think
I'm hot on the story. And I'm hot on the environment, but I'm not hot on the game play.
That's so interesting. I think the gameplay is great. And I think the story is actually my least favorite part. I think the little stories are good.
The story, the lore is what I love.
Yeah.
I love the whole alternate history with JFK not being assassinated and the Americans and the Russians teaming up together, and it's very cool. I think the gameplay for me started off strong, and as it progressed, I started seeing the cracks, and I started getting annoyed with some of the mechanics and kind of getting annoyed with some of the things that the game didn't do that other games did. Are we just
let's
do you want to just briefly just say like how our stories went, like what we did? Or
yeah, and that'll fill in the blanks for people too on like how we got from Morgan Yu is making neuromods to Morgan Yu is actually a Typhoon or whatever. So yeah. What was your story? What did you do? What neuromods did you install? How long was your game? Stuff like that. Do you know how long it took you?
My game was 27 hours and 50 minutes. How
many neuromods do you know?
I used one Typhoon neuromod, and the rest were human. One of the reasons why I didn't want to go full Typhoon was because the turrets would start shooting at me if you went after a certain threshold.
Yeah.
And it felt... Part of me felt like if I went Typhoon, that's kind of evil.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of against everything I'm doing. So I wanted to keep it pretty low, but we'll get into that later. I have some gripes with the trophies in this game. And yeah, I really liked a lot of the human powers. Most of them were just pretty basic, hacking, repairing stuff, sprinting, melee damage, how many times you can upgrade a weapon,
leverage,
yeah, which is awesome.
I love leverage.
Like when I figured out that leverage was really good, I was like, yeah, start throwing things at the mimics.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll get into an inflection point for me in the game in a little bit, but first I'll talk about the weapons. Weapons are fine. The shooting is fine. It's definitely a game made for PC, even though it got the worst score on PC.
Yeah.
When it first released, it got like a 4, and then later on it got like an 8 from IGN or something.
Which is crazy.
Which is kind of crazy.
Like a 4?
Yeah, it got a 4.
And it ran well on PC, especially compared to Dishonored 2. They were quoted as, this is the best AAA PC release in decades. That's literally what they said. So like that just means they didn't like the game.
What happened was they got a single glitch where it prevented like any progress, and they gave it a 4 because of it.
They Jim Sterling'd it.
Yeah, they Jim Sterling'd it, where he gave what Hellblade a 1 because of a game-breaking bug.
It broke this 6-hour game.
A 6-hour game is just replay it.
I couldn't recover my 2 hours of progress.
I know. I think about that sometimes. But I didn't like how unfleshed out the weapons were in the game, and how when I upgraded things, it didn't feel like I was doing anything.
Yeah, I feel that.
A part of that is the visuals, because like when you upgrade a weapon in Bioshock, your guy is putting things on it, or he's like taking it apart and changing it. With the revolver in Bioshock, you have like dual chambers.
Yeah.
Or with I don't know, you get like a belt-fed shotgun or a belt-fed revolver in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Just crazy stuff, and they have fun with it. This game, I felt like even though I was maxing out the shotgun and maxing out the silenced pistol and the glue gun, they weren't really doing anything differently. They were just either stronger or I was reloading them faster.
Yeah.
And actually the glue gun, I think, is the only weapon that gets an actual upgrade, which is how far you can shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
And like how long it keeps the mimics,
cementified. Yeah.
So that was kind of a downer. and it kind of made the gameplay a little unsatisfying, like the combat. And I know you're not really supposed to, like, I hate saying that because games should be played however the player wants to play them. But really, this game is about stealth, it seems, or it's catered towards stealth and finding alternate paths. But at the same time, the combat was really easy. And the enemy variety was really lackluster. I never was... This game has been called a horror game by some people, and I was never feeling that way. And I know horror can mean a lot of different things. I think the idea is horrific, being stuck on a space station with these things that will turn into other things and then surprise you. But I was never surprised when they would jump out at me. I played on normal difficulty.
So did I.
You know, I didn't feel like hard. If hard was the intended difficulty, then they should have said so. But I was never afraid of the enemies, and I was never afraid of going into any situation, really. Even the nightmare, the giant Typhoon. Especially because if you stay in the elevator, the time will pass. Or in the garden, I forgot what it's called.
The Arboretum.
Yeah, the Arboretum. If you just stand under the doorway, it can't hit you. And it's too big to go underneath.
So it never... did it ever follow you places that you didn't think it could go? Because I want to talk about the nightmare really quickly. I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay, yeah.
But just because you brought it up. Part of me hates the nightmare, part of me loves the nightmare. When I first encountered it, I don't know if you always encounter it in the neuromod division, but I walked in and it just spawned in the middle of the room, and like it was insane. Like I was like awestruck. I had no idea that this was gonna happen, and it like one shot me, you know. Anyway, so I had to like strategize a way to kill it, and I thought that was really effective. Later, it becomes annoying, and you learn that you can just like leave the area and the timer continues, you know?
You can just go into another division and it will just like, the timer will go up.
Just stay in the old one. But I did have some really good moments with it when I think it was working correctly, which it didn't always work correctly. But in the entrance to Psychotronics, there's like a weird medical bay and an office before like the actual entrance. Anyways, I was on a main quest and I was coming back to go to my office, and I came out through Psychotronics, and there were like 2 telepaths, which will explain these enemies. They're just bigger enemies, essentially. 2 telepaths, a nightmare, and like a bunch of phantoms just like right outside in the lobby. So I had to get around them, but there's no way if I like walked out of the room, the nightmare saw me and told everyone else where I was, right? Yeah. So I was trying to like not attack it because I was like low health and all these things. Anyway, I was like, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to like draw it over here. It won't be able to get through the doorway, and I'll just like shoot it in the ankles till it dies because this is a video game. And so I tried to draw it over, and it like shook, and it like squished down and through the doorway and started sprinting at me. It was horrifying. So then I ran into the medical bay, and I was like, all right, it won't get me here. And they did the same thing and went through like a human-sized doorway and like enveloped me and killed me. It happened like 3 times, but it never did it any other time. So I feel like there's
cool. That never happened to me.
It was really cool because it totally supplanted my expectations. I was like shook. I was like scared because it's like this giant thing like fills the entire room, you know? And so it was really cool, but it didn't happen all the time. So I feel like there's some glitch in its pathing where, because I know it can do that. It can follow you into small places, but it doesn't always do it. And it's scary when it does, though. Like, it's pretty cinematic. Sure. Anyways, but you can continue. I just wanted to put that in because it's cool, but it's not cool. Because sometimes it's really annoying.
Sure. I'm sorry for any listener, for you, Josh. I'm kind of just going to dump all my feelings about the gameplay on you.
No, that's okay. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. The nightmare, I only ever saw in the Arboretum and the lobby. So its scale was never fully realized to me. because it was just in a large open space. So it kind of looked like a headless chicken sprinting at me.
Yeah.
And I would just find a way to cheese it. Honestly, it was just too easy to cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, like, it's not like Dark Souls where it's like, oh, I'm going to be a real gamer and face it head on, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. It's like, I'm going to go into this area where it can't reach me, and I'll use my one Typhoon power where it's the one that explodes or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the first one you get if you choose that way. And I just used my shotgun, fully upgraded, and just it was gone in seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a bit of a bummer. And then going back to the enemies themselves. The Mimic is a great idea. It's fantastic. You know, that's could be used for really scary moments. The Phantoms, I think, are a cool idea. They're mimics, or not mimics, but Typhoons that are almost trying to be like humans.
Yeah.
They're acting on what they've seen, and I think that's really cool. And usually they take the form of humans that they've killed.
Yeah, which is very cool.
Interesting. But then when you get into like I don't know what they're called, the telepaths and
the weavers, telepaths,
the
technopaths,
it all just kind of just mush together of just flying mimics, flying Typhoons that are kind of eyesores.
Yeah, let's talk about the bad things, because I agree. I think that's probably one of the weakest parts of the game is enemy design past the Typhoons. I mean, past the Phantoms. I think one or two of the Phantoms are okay. There's like a third Phantom that's like, why is this in the game? And then there's
one that's on fire.
Yeah, it's like, what is happening? But
yeah,
I have a special hatred for the Weavers and the Cystoids.
Yeah, the Cystoids. Oh my gosh.
They're awful. Why are they in this game? They're super annoying. They're not even like...
To make an annoying part of the game even more annoying.
Yeah, all the zero-G stuff is pretty trash, honestly.
I hate the spacewalking, bro.
I thought it was cool at first, and then I like realized how giant it was.
Yeah, and how slow you are, and like you'll die if you try to go fast.
And how impossible it is to see where anything is. Oh my gosh. It's rough.
We'll get into the spacewalking a little bit. But yeah, let's talk about the Typhoons.
And what do you think's wrong with them? Like, I mean, I do think I get why the telepath might be cool, because it can like possess humans and make them bombs. I get that. It's okay.
Yeah,
you know,
it's okay.
I think technopaths are dumb because they're the same thing, but they like corrupt operators, I think. But I never once saw it happen.
To make the electricity flicker.
Yeah. And weavers,
it makes it
so
awful. You can't recycle things.
Yes. So I never found them to be compelling.
Yeah.
But I like the Nightmares sometimes. Phantoms most of the time, and Mimics, I like them all the time. I think the Mimics are cool.
Yeah, the Mimics are cool, but at a certain point they just become kind of cute, and I'm not afraid of them. It's like, aw, you turned into a cup, smash your brains in, you know? Like, they were never a threat, and that was the problem.
I understand that. I personally...
They felt almost annoying, actually, at first. Like, geez, they're jumping around, and I'm swinging my wrench. I don't want to waste ammo yet, until you find out that you can just make tons of ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this game went a little too far in areas. I think if they had less but more fleshed out enemies, that would be awesome. And had less but more fleshed out powers and mechanics would be great.
So how many Typhoon powers did you end up using at all? Was it just the kinetic blast?
Just the kinetic blast.
So I think that like... Because I didn't either. I didn't use a single Typhoon mod in my first playthrough.
Oh, okay.
Because it just felt right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I didn't predict the ending like you did, Chris. It was actually a big old surprise for me. I don't know if I'm just a big dum-dum or if I just believed what the game... I was just docile and just believed what they said.
Because my only tell was the trophy that I saw. It wasn't a hidden trophy. It was just a trophy.
Yeah.
All the secrets were behind hidden trophies, and it was just that one trophy that gave me a
kind of clued you in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no idea. So it was a big old twist for me. And I don't know, man, like I was definitely scared. This game was a horror game for me, for especially at least the first 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best thing the game could have done, in accordance with what you're saying about less enemies and just more fleshed out, is make this game 8 hours long. You know?
Yeah, it's a long...
It's longer than you think. This game, for me, my playthrough was...
longer than it needs to be.
Way longer than it needs to be. My playthrough was only 20 hours and 30 minutes, but it felt like a long time.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how I beat it so much faster than you, but... And I didn't try. I was like looking at everything. I read every single terminal, every single note.
Yeah, me too, but I was... At a certain point, I was like, I need to get this done, you know? Like, get me... For, like, when I got towards that second half of the game, I'm like, I'm out of here. Get me out of this game.
Yeah, I think...
But part of me couldn't. I missed a good portion of the game, too.
What did you miss? Okay, we'll get to that. Sorry, I'll talk about mimics and stuff for a second. I was, like, terrified the whole game. Not for the whole game, but probably the first 5 hours at least. I was, like, genuinely... jump scared and afraid a lot, because usually when you find one mimic you find like 4, and so one will jump out at you, and then there's 4 of them attacking you all at once, you know. I didn't find this game to be particularly hard, but I did find it to be nicely challenging. And I have a feeling that you and I missed out on a lot of the combat depth because we didn't
Because we didn't do Typhoon.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the combat's built around the Typhoon mods, and we didn't use any of them. So, like, I agree. I think
I just can't see that, though.
Well, they're all, like, half of them are, like, attacking mods.
Are they?
Yeah.
I thought when I was looking at them, there's, like, the Mimic one, and then you can brainwash people or make them unbrainwashed, and then there's, like, an electricity power. I just couldn't see, like, because the game is obviously also intended for you to just be a human, because that's one of the trophies. Play the game with only human and play the game with only Typhoon. And if they're going to add human mods and Typhoon mods, and they kind of intend for you to choose one of them on one playthrough or another, I feel like that should just be as fulfilling as using Typhoon mods.
Yeah, but I think it was fulfilling. So, like, for me, it wasn't that bad. Especially because I don't think the point of the combat is to be super combat-y. I think it's supposed to be like a puzzle, because each enemy has like its own solution, you know. And
I totally skipped that. Everything was Typhoon blast and then shotgun.
And I think that's part of the problem, is the shotgun's too good. Yeah, you know, like once you upgrade the shotgun, you just freaking tear through people. And the shotgun is to combat as hacking is to literally the rest of the game. Like, hacking ruins the game, because you don't need to do any of the cool stuff. Like, half of the fun in this game is like looking around the room and coming up with like codes for safes and for computers, and like going off and like looking in the computer and being like, okay, I need this person's key card, so I'm gonna click on their body and go find their body, go get it, and then I'll have the key card to like this office, you know. That's what makes this game good. But like, if you have level 4 hacking, you can hack into anything. Almost anything. You can just go get it, and you don't need to do any of the cool stuff.
I don't think I ever got level 4. By the end of the game, I was at level 3 for sure.
And level 3 does most of it. There's very little that like level 4 does that level 3 can't.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's a couple things that are too OP. Also, being stealthy is super overpowered. With a shotgun blast, you can do like 400 damage to something.
Yeah. Especially like when you use the human neuromods, where you can't be heard sprinting.
Yeah.
Or walking.
Yep.
So I'm at a certain point, I was just running around, playing the game like Doom almost.
Yeah.
Running up to enemies with a shotgun and switching to my glue cannon and then back to the shotgun. And because when you use the glue cannon, you do even more damage if they're locked into place. I think... I don't know.
I think the main problem is that it overstays its welcome. I don't think we would feel negatively about the combat if the game lasted 8 hours. You know what I mean? If they really explored the glue gun and like the disruptor gun and the shotgun and the pistol, and there was like 1 or 2 upgrades for each. If this game was just 8 hours and it had in-depth usage for those guns, we wouldn't spend 20 hours with them and hate them by the end of it. Because you're right, by the end you're like, what is this? Like, but I think if it just didn't last so long, I also wouldn't have gotten sick of phantoms that like, I think the other problem with the enemies is that you can't prevent damage. Like, if a phantom is charging its blast, you're going to be hit by it unless you are like sprinting laterally. Like, there's just nothing you can do. And I think either they need to slow projectiles down or add some sort of thing to negate damage, because it ends up feeling like you're just like taking turns hitting each other until one of you dies. Because like the glue doesn't stop the blast. If it's charging, it's gonna hit you. You know.
I know. It's like you're helpless at that point.
Yeah. So I think there's some basic problems there that make the enemies not feel good. Also, if you could like shoot off pieces of them, that would make it feel immediately. It would make the guns feel better. You know.
Yeah.
But that's really hard, so I don't blame them.
Or if it was almost like more like Alien, where if you shot a mimic or a phantom, they would hide away and then come back as something else behind you or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If they cowered a little bit more and if they were a bit smarter, because the phantoms are brain dead. They just throw things at you, you know?
I agree.
And the mimics will surprise you at first, but then they'll just jump around like jumping beans, and you just have to whack them. Like you're basically playing whack-a-mole with the mimics.
Yeah. I'm with you. It's the worst part of the game. It ends up feeling
it's just weird,
lame. But I have a hard time saying I don't like the gameplay, because I feel like the combat is like a quarter of the gameplay. Yeah,
the rest of the gameplay is exploring,
which is, in my opinion, phenomenal.
Oh, it's great, especially with the glue gun. It's awesome.
Let's talk about the glue gun.
Okay, yeah.
Tell me what you think of the glue gun.
Oh, it's immaculate. It's a fantastic piece of game design.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was in more things. I hope it's in more things. Something like it. It's just really cool, and it makes some of those big brain plays really fulfilling. Oh, yeah. And just like, there's a locked door. Look up at the ceiling. Oh, there's like a little vent. I better make my way up there, shoot the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. It's not perfect for combat unless you're like surprising the Typhoon, but for exploration, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that I would always have to remind myself, where I would be like, oh man, I can't get there. Oh wait, I have a glue gun. Use my glue gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool.
Awesome.
I'm glad you like it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
I think it's like genius, and it's like kind of the crux that this whole game rests on. If the glue gun didn't work, I don't think this game would be very good. But it gives you that level of freedom where you can go anywhere and do anything, like from the beginning of the game. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like even you can get to like Alex's apartment within like 2 hours by just using the glue gun in like his elevator shaft and stuff. Otherwise you have to wait for like 20 hours to get his key. You can just go kill him, take his escape pod and leave. You're done with the game in 2 hours,
Yeah.
So like there's just some amazing things you can do with it that just make you feel like a genius. And I think that's one of the really big strengths of this game, is that it like functions like a real world in some ways, and those ways are like really fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you have any standout moments of when you like solved a problem in like a way that that didn't feel intended?
I don't know, because I feel like the unintended response is what they intended. To be honest with you, like I don't think I was never stuck on a problem for very long when it comes to the glue gun, like exploring an area. Because I don't know, I just immediately just started looking up for any hole or crevice, vent I can get through.
What about passwords or like passcodes that you figured out on your own?
I mean, there's a couple, like going through, was it Danielle's show?
Yeah.
Oops. Going through her office and then finding the code to the safes behind her monitor, I guess. That's not really a puzzle, you know. There was one thing in the very beginning of the game where I felt like, oh, I did something. And that was before you get the glue gun, before you get any gun, it's as soon as you break out, I just started climbing shelves and climbing stuff that like you shouldn't be climbing.
Yeah.
In the beginning. And I found a taser gun super early on before you should get the taser gun.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the first gun I got. And that's probably it, honestly. I can't think of anything else where I felt like really smart.
Maybe you're not.
Maybe I'm not.
there were so many for me. That's sad.
Oh, do tell.
Like I think it's really cool when there's stuff in the way. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, a lot of times there'll be, because like any puzzle, not just with like the glue gun.
Yeah.
But like there's a bunch of stuff that you need leverage to lift. And so there'll be stuff stacked that people like barricaded themselves in with. And so one solution, for example, if you come up on a bathroom or a division that has like big boxes in front of it, I figured out that you could lift it with leverage. You could use the glue gun to like wedge open spots. You can bring over like an explosive canister and shoot it and have it blow up and move everything for you. You can draw like a phantom over it and it'll break it up for you. You can use a recycling charge and make it all shrink down. There's like a million solutions to like every problem in this game. And it's like so mind-boggling and cool when you're like, oh, I haven't gotten leverage yet, but I really want to get through here. I got an idea. And then you can just do it and it like works and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then passwords too. Like there was this one time in the guard's office in the beginning of the game where there's a passcode to a safe in Elazar's like security checkpoint or Elias Black's. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
But I was like looking around the room and trying to figure stuff out. And because there's no indication of what it is. But on her desk, there's a book that quotes like Hosea 5:46 or something. It's a verse.
Yeah.
And then the password is 0546.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like so cool, you know? Like nothing tells you that. You just have to like intuit and like figure it out. And there's just a lot of really great experiences like that in the game where you can figure stuff out on your own if you just stop for a moment and think. And I think that's the greatest achievement of this game. That like you can put together what you're supposed to do in all these stories from just like little details that everyone could miss. And if they're just like going shotgun bang bang, then they're not going to notice any of it. You know what I mean? Even though I was going shotgun bang bang. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy and super cool.
It is really cool. Yeah, I mean, exploring the game is fantastic, and passwords were a huge part of it, and figuring out, like, there's this one where you have to you'll read something about this scientist on Talos 1 who was trying to use what's the laser gun?
The Q-beam, I think.
Something like that. He was trying to experiment with that, and then later on I found that gun and it like opened a box or something after I used it. And it's just, there are some really awesome things like that, you know, probably a second playthrough would, you know, I would find or appreciate a lot of that stuff more because I would be trying to do different things. I did try to go back and play it again. But I just couldn't. The gameplay for me just wasn't there, so I couldn't bring myself to go through it again.
Yeah, I put probably 4 or 5 hours into a second playthrough, and I was like, I'm not going to finish this.
Because
it
think
gets
I got
so fetch
to the
questy.
glue gun, or the glue gun, or I just got the first neuromod. I was like, I can't even get Typhoon mods yet, and that's what I want to do.
That's what kills a second playthrough, is you want to experience something different, but before you can, you have to play 5 hours of the game. So I got like rights when I get a Typhoon mod, got the kinetic one, and I was like, I'm done. Okay. Just quit.
Yeah, I was like, this is great. Let's talk about the spacewalking. It's very cool at first, like you said. And it's very cool to see Talos 1 from an outside perspective.
Yeah, like fully modeled. Like they did not need to do this. You know?
They did not. And they honestly they shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have.
They really shouldn't have. It is so vast and slow and just the most brain dead gameplay, especially when you're in a hurry. Like story wise, you should be in a hurry, but you're just fluttering through space. And it's very confusing sometimes. Like
the entire place looks the same.
That, and like when you have a marker, sometimes the markers in this game were terrible. Because they'll be like, hey, you need to go here. I'm like, okay. But that's just because that's the closest exit into space. But your objective is actually at the top.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just always looking for the cargo bay. It's like, oh, where is it? Am I upside down? Am I sideways? And then you find it and you're like, okay, now I need to go in here, but then there's the cyst or whatever. And oh my gosh.
Dude, the worst thing is that there's no map for when you're outside.
Yeah, it's
like,
just,
why?
here's a diagram of the spaceship.
Like, there's literally a map of the whole ship that I can use if I'm, like, inside the ship. Why can't I just get, like, a little 3D version of that? And the thing is, like...
See where you are, yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. And, like, it'll show you a little green dot where every single airlock is. Doesn't matter if you want to go to it. Doesn't matter how close you are. Doesn't matter if it's locked. Like, it'll show you every single one. Oh, it's infuriating.
And then every body that's floating around will be a dot.
Unless it's one you're looking for.
Like...
So
yeah. Yeah, it's just... I hated it. I really hated it. And I thought what would be really cool, I don't know why they didn't do this, because you can use weapons in space. Yeah. Why do I not fly super fast when he's a shotgun?
I thought the same thing.
Oh, I can go super fast if I just turn around, shoot, and I can just launch myself somewhere else.
I thought the exact same thing.
And you can't do that.
Nothing. Lame.
Lame. So lame.
You get the lame stamp. Yeah, it's just...
That's all I really have to say about the space. There is the other 0G parts where you're in like the railway station or whatever, or the guts.
I went to the guts one time for the story and never went back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's when they introduced cystoids, the worst enemy ever.
I know. I've never flown through a new area in a game ever. So fast ever in my life.
Yeah.
I kept dying there because I was trying to figure out what's the fastest way. Like, where do I need to shoot to open the door while I'm flying super fast to just skip everything in this area, because I hated it.
Yeah, there's some like landmark bad areas. I think Guts is horrible. I think the outside is really annoying. Also, can I talk really quickly about, like you mentioned, like waypoints and guidance in this game? So this game only operates in the extreme. One extreme is like hand-holding, where it kind of ruins a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know, if I read a password in email, I'd like to have to like write it down in real life or something. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I want a setting for losers like me who want to be crazy immersed. And like, I actually have to read the note, and I actually have to like remember the password, but it'll like tell you the password, and then when you go to enter it, it'll literally show you next to it. So that's like the extreme hand-holding that sometimes goes on. But then like other times, you have like zero direction as to what you're supposed to be doing or where something is. Like, I would operate like the tracking bracelets on people sometimes. Yes. And if you go into space and there's a person you're looking for in space, you will never find them. It just doesn't show up. I don't know if it was a glitch But like waypoints just didn't work for me in outer space. They just didn't work. I don't know what the deal was.
Waypoints just don't work.
Yeah, they're freaking
half
funky
the time
in this game.
Especially if there's an airlock or something.
And then there's one time that the waypoints worked too well for me. And so you read a bunch of logs in the beginning of the game about this guy who is Volunteer 37.
Yeah.
Who's like crazy. He can like, he has these abilities. He can't be attacked by like mind control or whatever. And he has telekinesis. And so I thought this guy was really interesting because all these notes were like, we gotta like do something about this guy. He's like blah, blah, blah. He's resisting blah, 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 whatever. And so I was like, okay, I want to find him. So I went to a terminal and I clicked his tracking bracelet. The thing is, for those who don't know, he is the guy who's impersonating the chef.
Yes.
And so the second I walked down there, I knew that he was like this super dangerous Russian criminal,
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. Like, it's not super surprising because you see pictures of the chef and you hear him talk in voice recordings. But it would have been nice to like get that myself as opposed to the waypoint telling me that he's V37, Anyways. And then I shot him, and at the end of the game, they're like, we don't know why he killed him. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyways.
Yeah.
So,
I totally agree.
The guidance in this game is like off the wall, back and forth, a little too much, a little bit. But it's nice also that like I can do that if I want to do that. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, bad areas. Guts is trash. Outer space is just frustrating. And I didn't love anything I didn't like the cargo bay or the water treatment area.
I didn't like the Arboretum.
Oh, I liked the Arboretum, but I understand why you didn't like it.
I think it was kind of a pretty bland area, at least the top area, like with the apartment or whatever. It made me think like, oh, they're trying to do the garden from Bioshock. A game that came out 10 years beforehand and looks way better and looks way more stylistic and artistic.
Uh-huh.
It looks fantastic. And what was it called? The Botanical Gardens in Bioshock. And I just felt like, I don't know.
I understand.
It was just another space. I really love the lobby, and I love the Looking Glass area. I love the whole apartments and the, what is it, Psycho Division or whatever it's called, and
Psychotronics,
yeah. I like all that stuff. I thought that was really cool. I really love the hotel area and like where you find where everyone's sleeping and stuff, and
the crew quarters,
the swimming pool area. I thought was really cool. The gym. But yeah, I totally agree with everything that you said. Those areas suck.
No, I think you're right. Like, the best areas are the ones that have either the most human touch or the most lore touch, right? Where like the crew quarters, the lobby, in that Art Deco kind of style, which is a little bit overdone at this point, but I really liked it in this game. And then also the stuff that had to do with science and like neuromods themselves, Psychotronics, Neuromod Division. But like all like the behind the scenes inner workings, like the cargo bay and all that crap is just like, ugh. Like, I don't care.
Absolutely. It all looks the same.
Yeah. It's just
it
generic.
Feels the same. Yeah. But it's just like, oh, this is where all the enemies are going to be. Great.
Yeah. But like if I could spend a whole game in the crew quarters, I would. Like, it was so good, you know?
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that for sure. But kind of shifting over to the things that we really liked about the game. And this is where nuance played a role in my 3 words, and front-loaded was my favorite part in the entire game. But also the most bittersweet as a player. When you come upon the one volunteer who's a pedophile. And
how do you know he's a pedophile? Is there stuff you can read about him?
Yeah, you can read logs.
It's on the terminal. Yeah.
It's on the terminals. And then he also while you're determining what you should do, he's like, hey man, I didn't touch those girls or whatever, like stuff like that. Making the choice of whether or not you should kill him or free him or put a mimic in the room with him. It was the hardest decision I made in the game, for sure, like hands down. And it's got me really excited. It got me really hooked into the game because, like, oh, this is the first choice pretty much I'm making in the game. What are the consequences like? And it's a question where I didn't know where my moral compass was, and I didn't know what was morally right or morally wrong. I knew what was wrong in the real world. But as Morgan Yu on a space station where there's aliens killing everybody, do you kill the only human you've met so far? So I freed him. I don't know what happens to him afterwards.
I don't think anything happens.
You freed him?
Yeah, I freed him. I don't think I realized. I must have realized he was a pedophile. I think I just thought, like, it's not right to let a mimic kill him. I think I thought about killing him when he came out. But I also was like, he's probably going to die anyway. Like, I don't... Exactly. Like, I don't want to be the guy that kills him. It's not right to kill people. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Especially even if they're the only one you know.
Yeah. This game had really good thought-provoking and feeling-provoking choices. I'm with you.
I somewhat agree with that. Because in the bittersweet moment where afterwards, every choice after that didn't feel as compelling, and almost the game brain in my mind started taking over where, I don't know, every choice afterwards seemed pretty cut and dry for me. What was the right choice to make, even though morally it was kind of wrong, but it was the best of all the choices. And that goes like with Dahl, the security guy, that mercenary dude who comes in.
He's just a huge jerk.
The huge jerk.
What did he do?
It's wrong to... like, I know it's wrong to put neuromods in a guy's brain to make him forget what he's doing or to take it out. But he was going to kill somebody for sure if we didn't do that. You know? And so kind of no harm, no foul, but we know as... I forgot the doctor's name. He was like one of my favorite characters.
Igwe?
Yeah, Igwe. Igwe and I knew that it was wrong, but it was the only choice we really had to do this peacefully.
You trolley problemed him.
Yes.
You pushed the fat man. That's pushing the fat man. Because at that point... Yeah, because like in the story,
I guess that's true.
But
in
reality, that's what it actually means to push the fat man.
Yeah.
Because it was either... Because they were already going to die. You chose to ruin another guy's life so that they wouldn't die.
Yeah.
Which is like, is it better to let bad things happen? Or is it better to do a bad thing that is less than the bad thing that would have happened? And that's the trolley problem. Is like, where does the morality... Is it ever good to do a bad thing, even if it's preventing another bad thing?
Yeah.
So you trolley problemed him.
I did. But it wasn't as thought-provoking to me as the pedophile for some reason. That was the one that really stuck me.
I think it was too easy. You know? The doll thing. Yeah. It was like, obviously, oh, well, that's the best solution because everyone gets off and he doesn't kill anybody. And, you know, so I agree. I thought it was cool how many ways you could incapacitate him, but I'm with you. Like, there's a million different things you can do to stop Dahl.
For sure.
Even though overall Dahl coming in is like the most exasperating thing ever because you're so close to the end.
I know, my gosh.
It was already outstaying its welcome at like 15 hours. It's like another 5 hours to deal with Dahl.
That's one of those things where I use the glue gun to get onto the spaceship thinking that like, oh, I can skip a bunch of codes if I just got on top of the spaceship and onto the door. No, you can't go in. You have to do everything else to extend the bridge to open the shuttle, and then he's not in there in the first place. Because by the time you do that, he's already got Igwe.
Yeah.
Or whomever.
He's like taking the oxygen out of the cargo bay.
Yeah. But yeah, like for me, the pedophile was the best part of the game. That choice of what to do with him. For me, it was the most morally conflicting thing.
I understand that. I think that more like the most morally conflicting, I think that's definitely it. I think that another thing the game is going for is like something that in practice is not that interesting for the player, but I think they're trying to like test different types and parts of empathy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of humanity. So like with Doll, it's like, are you willing to go through the effort of doing this thing that's annoying, but like it's better in the long run for everybody else? But the more interesting ones I thought were going all the way back to the crew quarters just to preserve the piano music for Igwe.
Yeah, that's a fantastic side quest.
Like it's just going back just because you're being nice. And I think so it's like testing like kindness there. And my favorite one was the one where you go back and find the audio recording of you killing Michaela's dad.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Like, and that's testing honesty, I suppose. But like, I have not felt that way very often in a game. I guess somehow I just really got into Morgan's shoes and I was really immersed. And like, I really felt the trouble and conscience of being like, do I show her this? Like, it totally implicates me as like a really horrible person. And it was hard. Like the walk all the way from the data center or whatever to my office and then being forced to actually listen to it with her.
With her in the room, yeah.
It's falling again. It's like, I thought it was really powerful. And it felt like actually doing a hard thing. Like in real life, confessing to something. It really felt like that. And I haven't had a game make me feel that way very often. And so I was impressed with the decisions of this game because they're not all just like New Vegas style, right or wrong. It's like really nuanced, like you said. Like it's testing different parts of your humanity. And I found that to be really compelling. So, yeah. And I almost feel like there's not enough of them. I wish there were like 3 or 4 more. Yeah. There's really like 4 decisions.
I agree with you. But with showing the audio logs, I just knew what was right, like what was morally right. So it wasn't as compelling because I wasn't as conflicted as I should have been. But yeah, it's totally an uncomfortable scene, and you feel really, I don't know, you get that like weird feeling in your stomach. You're like, oh, geez, like
the guilt.
We go. Yeah.
But I think that's what makes it compelling is that it's not it's not a confusing situation where you're like, what's right and what's wrong. It's compelling because it's hard, if you're role playing. If you're not role playing, it's like, all right, yeah, I'll shoot her right now. You know what I mean? Like I'll kill her and I'll bury her next to her dad. But like I think if you're in the mindset of the game, that decision is hard, but it's not hard because you're confused as to what's right. It's hard because doing the right thing is hard. Yeah. Which I think is such a cool reflection of real life. Because in real life, I'd say 95% of the time, you know what's right and wrong. What makes it hard is doing the right thing because it's hard to do.
Especially confessing to something, yeah.
Yeah, like confessing to somebody like, oh yeah, I killed your dad. And she doesn't understand that you've lost your memory and all these things. And oh yeah, that's a big part of the story we haven't explained. But,
That's okay.
It's, I agree with you though.
Yeah.
Good decisions.
Yeah. I don't even know where to really go from here. I guess I'll make a confession. I did not find the chef. I did not kill him, and I did not find Danielle Shaw, whatever her name is.
Man, did you like not even do anything in the crew quarters?
Dude, I was there for a really long time, and I was exploring every nook and cranny, and I just never happened to find her or what was going on. I kept trying to find him with the marker, but the marker was sending me into so many different stupid directions that I was like, I'll get to this later. And then, I did
Never did.
Igwe's, and I did the cargo bay side quest. And then before you know it, I was with Dahl. And once you get to Dahl, you're like, I want this to be over now. So
Yeah.
you rush towards the end, and then the game ends, and you get judged at the end by the 4 operators. And Daniel Show was like, he did not even try to look for me. It's like, sorry. But she definitely had the most audio logs of any character.
I know.
So a part of me felt like she was found already.
I never found her. I don't know what happened to Danielle Show.
Really?
She talked to me. But the thing is, it's the same thing happened to me. Where I found the chef because he literally yells at you the second you go into the crew quarters. But
Dude, I was in the crew quarters.
did you fight the telepath? The telepath in the cafeteria?
The cafeteria. Yeah.
Well, he's in the kitchen. He calls you over.
Oh, I went in there.
Yeah,
But at that point, he was sending me on fetch quest, and then by the time I got back, he was like, "Ha ha ha! I am doing something over here now."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You have to find him somewhere in some other quarters."
Yeah. I never did it because I shot him when I saw him because I knew he was.
Because you read the audio log or the logs beforehand. I did not do that. So at first, he sent me on this weird quest to bring him something.
Yeah.
And then he was gone, and I had to go looking for him.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna do
apparently
that.
he does that, and then he does a couple other things, and then if you don't kill him when you confront him, he lays traps for you all over the station and tries to escape.
Arm bombs on every door.
Yeah, which I never experienced, but
Yeah, no, I had a lot of those. You just had to, if you had high enough repair skill, you can just disarm them. So that's just what I did.
Did you find Abigail?
Which one is she again?
It's Danielle's girlfriend, I think. Abigail Foy. They were all doing D&D together.
No, I don't think I found her, but I found almost all their pages.
So I think that was another strong point of the game, was in the crew quarters learning about that group of friends and hearing their audio logs to each other, especially Danielle and Abigail. I really... what's the word? I was really invested in their relationship. I just thought it was good. And it, you feel it develop throughout the audio logs. And then, I felt really compelled to find Abby and Danielle's bodies. And Danielle's alive.
Okay.
I never found her because I don't know where the heck she is. But Abby is in the freezer. And the chef killed her.
Oh, then I must have found her and just didn't realize it was her.
Yeah, which, because every body has a name, so, you wouldn't notice, really. But yeah, I haven't really felt compelled like that to look for people in a game very often. Whereas, I figured she was dead, but I wanted to, put her to rest because I knew her,
Yeah.
I guess this game just really struck a chord with me in immersing me in a game and making me feel like it was real. I wanted to find people not just to get key cards and items from them, but I wanted to find people so I could gain closure, which sounds weird, And so I'm bitter that I never found Danielle, but
I know I
don't know where the heck she is. So
I no clue. But I guess we can talk about the ending. What was your results? Because mine was 3 of them said it was great. Danielle was he didn't look for me, and then Alex extended his hand towards me, and then you find out that you're a Typhoon or whatever. What else? I lost my train of thought. But what was yours?
it was pretty much the same. Where everyone was like, he's the best ever. And Danielle was like, he went out of his way not to kill people, because I would try to use the disruptor gun on the people whose heads were going to blow up. Anyway, so she went out of his way to not hurt people. But then she was like, but then he killed volunteer 37 without explanation, and I don't know why. I'm not sure. You can trust him. I'm like the guy's obviously not the chef,
Oh my gosh. I tried going through the game without killing any humans, and I somehow killed one. I think one of the mind-controlled guys got hit.
it's considered killing them if you let them die, I think.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, it's a little annoying.
I guess I think we forget about the last third of the game that's awful. But when there's the cat piss mist in the air,
yeah,
I hate that. It's blinding.
I don't think I experienced that outside of the tutorial, but
no, that's throughout the entirety of the ending.
I have no recollection.
Really?
No.
Like you follow the mist to
the coral.
The coral stuff.
Yeah. You don't like that?
Terrible. I hate it.
Dang. What a visceral response.
Awful.
I don't love it.
But it's so ugly and it just covers everything and you can't see through it.
Uh-huh.
It's just
not a fan over here. Oh, that was okay.
Not a fan.
I'll make sure not to give you any.
Good.
Did you... I killed Alex in one of my endings. I mean, like the ending. Like, because you can either kill him or shake his hand or whatever.
Oh, you killed him?
Well, I did it twice. So what I would have done is take his hand. But then when I did it a second time, you kill him and you like stab him with a tentacle. And it's bad.
I forgot that's one of the... You can make a choice there whether you grab his hand or not. Interesting.
And it kind of opens up interesting possibilities for the story because it's a simulation. So, like, you don't know what Alex and the operators have changed about what actually happened. Like, you don't know how accurate this version of events was.
Yeah.
But I don't think too hard about it. I figure it was relatively accurate. You know what I mean? I don't think it discounts the story. But I did want to actually... I wanted to actually have the events of the story happen. I didn't love the fact that you're a Typhon. I think a lot of people like that, and I thought it was like, let down.
No, I wasn't a big fan of the ending either. It felt very I don't know. At the end of the day, the choices don't really matter, and they even like in a game where the choices have more nuance. It still ends up being a Fallout 3 slideshow of here's how good of a person you are, or here are the choices that you made. You're a bad person. It still felt very, I don't know, rudimentary, primary.
Yeah, and it felt really not rushed, but sudden.
Very simplified.
Also, what's the deal with those like awful cutscenes that play right before like the credits? What's the deal? Like,
I don't know.
It also feels weird that it's an after credits scene when it's like the actual ending of the game.
Yeah,
I thought that was odd.
Yeah, because when the game ends, it's very kind of abrupt, and then you get this post-credit scene where Alex is talking to you. I don't know. We haven't really talked about October or January or December.
Oh yeah, very important.
I never found December, and I killed January in the end.
Oh yeah, well, what did you do? Did you blow up the station? Did you use the null wave?
I used the null wave.
I think it's funny that the game, it like wants you to think that blowing up the station is the better thing. But like, I feel like the null wave is the better thing because there's people that are in the cargo bay that are not getting in your ship, right?
Yeah.
Like there's people all over the station that are just stranded. Like I feel like the good thing to do is to use the null wave, but it makes it seem like it's the bad thing to do because it preserves the research.
Yeah.
And like plus, the multi-billion-dollar building. I mean, that's a big deal too.
It's also the ethical question of like, do you let this get back to Earth? You know?
Yeah. But I feel like a null wave would do a better job of getting rid of all the Typhon as opposed to a bomb.
Than launching it towards Earth through a fiery explosion.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a little silly of an ending. The choices are I don't know. I am with you. I think there is just a very easy answer, and it's just using the null wave. I hated the idea of an apex Typhon.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. Like, you're with Alex and you're making amends kind of, and then here's a bigger Typhon.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I thought the idea of a small mimic getting to Earth and how catastrophic that would be is more terrifying than just a giant blob of tentacles.
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying.
Like, I don't know, like the little itty bittiest bit of Typhon getting on Earth is catastrophic to humanity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the point in having a big bad,
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think, because I like the idea that you have to act, and I wish there was like a timer, like a 10-minute timer when the Apex shows up or something.
Yeah, there's no timer.
It just kind of...
It just blocks areas away from you, so you can't do other side quests.
Yeah.
I probably would have found Danielle if the game didn't prevent me from doing that.
I know. It's funky. But yeah, I like that it's trying to make you go at the end, but at the same time...
Yeah.
And I like the idea that it's crushing the station, but I think they could have gone about it in a different way. Like, the mimics are multiplying, or they found... bodies. I have no idea.
The mimics have figured out how to like dismember the ship.
Yeah, I mean they could have done a lot. Like they're in the guts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I liked having to get Alex's body and like hide him though. I thought that was kind of a good touch.
Yeah, that was funny. I did do a save scum thing where I saved and then I just shot him a billion times to kill him and then get the trophy, and then I reverted back to saving him.
Yeah, I save scummed all the endings. So
you don't get trophies for those though, right?
No, you only get trophies for like extreme playthroughs.
For doing the most... Oh my gosh, I hate the trophies in this game.
Really?
The fact that you have to two playthroughs is one trophy, right? So there's 2 playthroughs, and then you have to play it again without using any Typhon mods or Neuro mods at all. And then there's one for saving every human, and then one for killing every human, which you can combine with the Typhon or the human mod one, however you want to do it.
Yeah.
But it's just, man, that sucks, especially since I accidentally apparently killed one human.
So dumb.
And I decided to test out how a Typhon mod would be, and that negates a trophy right there. 2 trophies right there. It's just awful.
No, I know. I'm with you. It's interesting because it's a game I'd like to complete, but I'm definitely not going to. I'm not going to do 40 more hours of this.
Yeah. I'm with you there. But, after everything is said and done, I really enjoyed my time, for the most part, playing this game. And it's a real treat to discover what the game is about.
Yeah.
And discovering what you can do is really awesome. The biggest... compliment I can probably give this game is that it's one of the best sandboxes I've played in a long time, and it's usually exploring is the most boring part of the game, but it's the most exciting in this one.
Yeah, there's, like we said in the beginning, there's something special about the exploration side of this game. I mean, it's worth playing for that alone, Yeah, for sure. And personally, I've heard rumors starting on December 3rd of last year that there's a Prey 2 in development. Prey 2 Neuroshock. Really leaning into that there. But
you're joking, right?
No. Although this game probably should have been called Neuroshock, System Shock, Bioshock, Neuroshock, but I think it's a little too on the nose.
Are you serious? It's called Neuroshock?
It's the probably the code name. Probably not the real name. Probably just Prey 2.
Okay.
But how do you feel about the idea of a sequel?
So I was thinking about this, And I think what they could do is just make it not take out the Typhons and just do something completely different.
Just reboot Prey a third time.
Yeah, Prey can just be
an anthology sort of
a way of testing people's empathy.
Oh.
You know, of seeing how far you will go as a gamer and making certain choices.
Mm-hmm.
One of my fast ones we'll get into is like, obviously, what would you change about the game? Which I think we have pretty much gone through by saying what we didn't like about the game. Those are the things that we would change. But I mean, I keep saying it. This game would have been great if it was more like 10 Little Indians in space, but that's Among Us, which you have brought to my attention. But I think a big part of this game that it was missing was more humanoid enemies and stuff like that. But just imagine a game where the Typhons can turn into the humans that you're talking to, like more advanced Typhons.
Yeah.
And let's say that there was 20 people on this ship, and the whole game is about figuring out why people are dying.
Like a mystery.
Yeah, exactly. And figuring out like who you can trust, and you know, it would have been perfect digging through logs and emails. Maybe like someone messed up a phrase or messed up a story completely that you heard from another character. So you like who's right and who's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And like trying to figure out who you can trust would be really cool. This game didn't do that, but yeah, I think for Prey 2, something like that.
I like that.
Really push back on, or you know, lean into the empathy part and the trust part. The not gameplay, but the moment to moment, I don't know, character development that you can have in the game. I don't know.
I know what you're saying. That. Yeah,
I'm a little bit of a loss for words right now, but
I think I'm with you. I think that number one, I probably wouldn't want a true sequel to Prey.
Yeah.
I think it would have been fine if it just ended and you weren't a Typhon. Like, I get that it's cool that you are, you know? But I'd be fine with just them spreading the news that that TreadStar's evil, you know? Like, I think that's fine. That's a good ending to me. And then Morgan going to prison or whatever. You know what I mean? I think that's great. So I don't know. I don't think I want a sequel. I want more games in this style, and it makes me want to go back and play Dishonored. You know, and it makes me want to go play Thief, which, you know, Arcane is all about imitating Looking Glass. You know, Thief the Dark Project, Dishonored, System Shock, Prey, you know. And I think they are the best modern version of that we have. And so I want more like this. But I think Prey had a perfect ending in a way. Like, let it die. You know?
Yeah.
I spent the perfect amount of time in this world, and I am happy leaving it. Although I am going to play Prey Moon Crash, and I'm pretty hyped.
Yeah. But, like, imagine Prey 2 it takes place underground in a bunker.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's just like this community of people.
I think that'd be cool.
And something's going on or something. Or Prey is just the nature of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what, like, because, you know, they're owned by Xbox, and
I know, I was going to ask you that.
Don't know what they're going to do. Like, they could do a Prey in Fallout. You know?
That's true.
Something crazy, you know? It's just
whatever Arcane makes it. I mean, Prey could be, because it's rumored to be the game that's to follow Redfall. So who knows? I mean, Prey could, you know, be an Xbox exclusive like Redfall is.
Oh, for sure.
So I'd have to play it. But even if I don't really want it to exist.
So since you like this, are you going to play Deathloop?
No. Because Deathloop seems like Prey went in the direction opposite of the direction that I enjoy.
it's the complete antithesis of Prey.
That's what I figured. So I was like, I don't want to do that.
Like I watched a little documentary of the making of Prey, and how they really wanted to try like not being too much like Dishonored, and instead of having missions, just one open station, one giant mission to go through, and to have all these choices, and to have this moral ambiguity where you don't know if you're doing something is really wrong or not. And then in Deathloop, it's just, here's missions, here's like rankings of all the choices you've made, and just, I don't know, just, I don't know.
No, I have no desire to
listening to that documentary, I was like, then why the heck did you make Deathloop the way that it is?
And the funny thing is that like Deathloop comes after Prey Mooncrash, which is a game about a death loop, you know, that apparently is much better, is what I've heard from like everybody ever. Is like, if you want to play Deathloop, you like the idea of it, just go play Mooncrash. Yeah. So it's funny. I don't know how things are going over there. I hope they're okay. Guys, just make Thief, please. I want to play Thief really badly. So reboot it for a second time, but this time make it good. Do the same thing with System Shock, please. And I'll be happy.
Yes.
But
I wonder how this changes the next Bioshock.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure this Bioshock's happening. I think it's all a lie. So I think it's all a grand conspiracy. If anyone's developing Bioshock, it's Blue Box, you know, so. But who knows?
Yes.
I don't think it changes much, honestly. But we shall see.
Yes.
But man, I guess that's really it. I don't have any real fast ones. I'm not sure I even want to bother with them. I know this has been a long episode.
Yeah, all of my fast ones have been kind of answered.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know where to go from here. I gotta say though, the hardest part about playing this game for me was separating the expectations, or separating, like, not comparing it to Bioshock and to other games, and trying to focus on Prey as it is. Prey is a really good game, but for me personally, it doesn't hold a candle to Bioshock. That's me. That's probably a lot of people. Bioshock just holds a special place in my heart. And honestly, like, I've been playing a lot of PS3 games lately, and there are certain games where I'm like, this is better than this.
Yeah.
Or more interesting. But for Prey, if you're just going to play Prey by itself, not comparing it to anything, and just trying to, I think the best way to play this is like you did, where you're trying to role play Morgan you, and just trying to really get enveloped in that world, because it's really special until it isn't.
Yeah.
So just enjoy it.
It's so funny because, like, this is a game that, like, cognitively, like, in my brain, I'm like, I love this game, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna forget it, you know? Like, it made such an impression in the moment, but I don't think it has staying power just because of how much it ruins itself halfway through. At least for me, it really felt that way. And so I'm almost sad to, like, say goodbye and stop talking about it, because I think I'm just going to forget it. Because it's just doesn't
pretty
have...
bittersweet, for sure.
It's like less than the sum of its parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And for some reason, this great game is not as good as it should be. There's just something going on. And I can't really put it... You know, it's like, is it the enemy design? I think it's mostly the length of the game, but it's hard to say. You know?
Yeah.
And it's weird to feel that way. But
for sure.
But yeah, I think Prey is going to be over for me now. So
it's like a really bad great game.
Yeah, you know? It's like
it just doesn't stick the landing.
And it's not like obvious why it doesn't, which is the weirdest
Yeah,
part.
it just doesn't. It's like, you're just not good enough, kid.
Yeah, like there's so many games that are like, oh, they're amazing. And then the ending is like, but there's just, I don't know what happened here, but it doesn't.
And there's like even really slow games that suck in the beginning, but then they're fantastic by the end of it. And you like think about it a lot, Like for me, one of them is Wolfenstein, The New Order. Has a horrible beginning. But once you get past that first hour, for some reason, it just turns its head around and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, not perfect, but it's fantastic. It becomes what it should be and what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think this game started as what it should be. And then it just, I don't know, when you keep just adding more things on top of it, it just becomes less for some reason.
Yeah, it's like a sad thing. It's like a melancholy feeling to talk about it because it's like it's so close to greatness, but it just misses it. And I know I'm not going to remember it in a year, which is depressing.
Yeah, it is depressing.
So yeah. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if you feel that way. I don't know if you even play Prey. I still think you should play Prey. It's cheap. It's really good for what it is.
Cheap.
If you want,
and you might really love it. You might think it's the best game you've played.
Yeah, I definitely still think it's like, what's the word? Underrated, personally. I think it's a gem. Like, a lot of people haven't played this game and it's good and it's worth playing. But yeah, weird. It's really just weird. Bizarre the way it makes you feel. So go play this game. Tell us what you think. If you have played it, tell us if you agree with us. I'm not sure. I can't tell if what we feel is normal or if it's something wrong with us. So let us know in the comments below.
I don't know. We'll see.
And don't forget to go look at Tiptoe the Tank's video because it's better than ours.
Yes.
But if you're already this far, thank you. So
yeah.
If you like the show, like the video. Comment below what you think about Prey. Go to our Patreon. You can throw some coins our way. Help us to keep producing this beautiful content. If you like this, maybe we'll do Prey Moon Crash. I'm definitely going to play it, so we may as well do it. Just let us know. But I'm exhausted emotionally.
Me too.
From playing this game and from talking about it for what feels like 5 hours. So.
Me too.
Yeah. Wow. But thank you guys. We love you.
Love you guys.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Yeah, that was weird, man.
That was weird, huh? I wasn't expecting that.
I still don't know how I feel.